Hi, this is Frode and welcome back to Actualize Notes TV. The great inventor Thomas Edison said, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And that's relevant for our discussion today, where you will learn how to discover breakthrough ideas in your creative pursuits. And as we often talk about here, you can be creative in any area of your life. In your business, your relationships, your health, your career, anything. And these big ideas come from the great book Little Bets by Peter Sims. Little Bets, subtitle, How Breakthrough Ideas Emerge from Small Discoveries. Peter Sims is a truly brilliant guy. He is the founder and CEO of Parliament Incorporated and the founder of Black Sheep Enterprises, and where he works with Fortune 250 companies. And in this book, he helps us, as the subtitle suggests, discover how breakthrough ideas emerge from small discoveries. And key to this approach, he has said that great innovators do things to discover what they should do, which we'll talk a lot about today. Alright, let's actualize with our first big idea, Chris Rock. You probably know about Chris Rock, one of the most popular comedians in the entire world. And much of his success has come from his talent, might have, but it also comes from his approach. Because those routines that you can see on his global tours are created from thousands of little bets. They don't just emerge from nowhere like a perfect idea that comes from the heavens. So what he will do is he'll show up unannounced at some comedy club in front of about 50 people, and he will start trying out his ideas. He has this legal notepad, and he tries out his ideas one at a time. And he says that it's kind of like a boxing match. So he will watch his audience intently to see their reactions, into pauses, gesturing. And sometimes he thinks that he has got the best joke ever, but nobody laughs. Then that becomes his reality. Sometimes he thinks his joke will be a dud, but it brings the house down in laughter. And the key to his approach is that he places hundreds, even thousands of these little bets, trying out these ideas to see if they work or if they don't. And then he adjusts accordingly. He doesn't get all emotional about it and cling to the ideas that nobody laughs at. So, how does this relate to you? When you try to experiment and go through your creative projects, do you get angry because things doesn't work perfectly the first time? Or do you simply use it as course correction, showing you what works and what doesn't? Well, think about that, as you know that even Chris Rock doesn't emerge on performances with the perfect ideas mapped out without doing a ton of work before. It's all about action. And our next big idea is affordable loss. The Professor Saraswati has found out that successful entrepreneurs doesn't try to calculate how much they can gain from their ventures, but rather how much they are willing to lose. And if you do this, you'll become basically bulletproof. Because instead of placing one big bet on your dreams that might destroy some relationships and leave you broke unintentionally, it's a lot better to figure out how much you are willing to lose in front, so that you are more able to go all in with no regrets. I have done this with Actualize. I have saved up a certain amount of money, and I know almost how long, I have a certain idea of how long I can go without applying for a full-time job, and if my money runs out, then I will just start applying for jobs. So think about your number one creative project and how much you are willing to lose before you opt for plan B, plan C, or plan D, all the way to plan Z. Our next big idea is suck to unsuck. Pixar is one of the greatest animation companies in the entire world. And Ed Catmull, as many people describe as Pixar's Pope or spiritual leader, has said that their creative process goes from suck to unsuck. They don't just emerge like Chris Rock doesn't. They don't just emerge from with their great movies and ideas perfectly at the first time. They have to go through thousands of small iterations, seeing what works and what doesn't. And much of what they do sucks in the beginning. But the creative process is all about suck to unsuck. They've just discovered that that's the way it is, without becoming all emotional about it. They just fail as fast as they can. And an example, our next big idea, WALL-E. So when Pixar uses this creative process of going from suck to unsuck, they are developing movies on these storyboards. So what they will do is sketch artists will draw these individual ideas for storyboards on 3x8 sheets of paper, and then see if the ideas get rejected or accepted. And do you know how many of these individual storyboards the artists had to sketch before they were able to create the entire movie WALL-E? 100? 1,000? 10,000? No. 98,173 is the number of storyboards that they had to go through in order to create WALL-E. 98,173. That's almost 100,000. And thousands, 10,000s of those are failures. Maybe even all of them. But what they did was they iterated a little bit. They had this goal of the move they wanted to create, and then they started testing one idea at a time. So do you think that you'll just emerge from nowhere with a perfect idea that you don't have to fail in order to complete? And do you get angry when you fail? Well, that's a tendency I have too, but we need to get better at stretching ourselves to know that failure is something that's just going to happen, and therefore we need to fail fast forward. We need to fail fast, fail often. The title of the next book I'm covering here, that will come tomorrow or in a few days. So think about this in your own life. When you are starting to get angry about your failures, things that doesn't seem to quite work immediately, when you're writing a book, or you're creating a business, or you're trying to create a relationship with someone, then know that the Pixar creators had to go through 98,173 storyboards in order to create WALL-E. That's just insane. And our next big idea is Smallify. You know about architecture? They have these. They have pretty clear constraints. They have this area they have to build on. They have this money they can use. They need to use certain materials for certain parts of the building. But when you come to creative projects like writing, it doesn't become that clear. You have a page, write words on it, and do whatever you like. And that kind of has a tendency to leave people with a blank page problem. They get a creative block. And Peter Sims has found out a super way to get rid of this block. Is to use self-imposed constraints. And this you create by breaking down your larger goal into small individual problems that you can solve, one at a time. You can, for example, think that if you're writing a book, you have this book you're going to write, here are the individual chapters, and even they can be broken down into sub-chapters. And this is what Bing Gordon, co-founder at the video game company Electronic Arts, calls smallifying, using constraints to break larger goals down into key components and specific problems to solve. And he has found out at his company that people who use constraints, who smallify, they are much more creative and much more effective and less stressed out, because they know exactly what they need to do. Create these small problems instead of freaking themselves out with this large goal. For example, writing a whole page or something. I'm using constraints knowing that I need 6-page PDFs for my notes on the books, and I have around 10 minutes for these videos. I don't go a lot more or less, and in the notes I never go for 4, 5 or 7 pages, it's 6. And then I focus on one idea at a time. Can I write about this idea in order to help one person actualize their potential. So think about how you can create constraints in order to help your creativity, in order to boost your creativity. So you'll get more ideas that might be breakthrough ideas. Alright, Smallify. Remember that Swally went through 98,173 storyboards. So they were through the process of suck to unsuck at Pixar. Affordable loss. Calculate how much you're willing to lose before you go off to plan B. And Chris Rock, he doesn't come out with perfect performances immediately. He has to do a ton of groundwork. A lot of tiny failures. So, it's like Thomas Edison said, I haven't failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Well, Wally found almost 100,000. Alright, that was a quick look at Little Bets. Thank you, Peter Sims. Think about the idea that landed and how you're going to apply it to your life starting today. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Look forward to sharing more. Have another awesome day. See ya.